joining. Welcome to the Polaris Phase 1 Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Pool Kickoff Meeting. My name is Belinda DeBoer, and I am a Business Manager Specialist in the Program Support Division of the Office of IT Services, and I will be serving as your Polaris Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Program Manager. And I will also be serving as the MC for today's meeting. First off, I want to congratulate you all on your recent award on the Polaris Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Pool GWAC. Today, we will be providing you with an overview of your contract and going over some of the key requirements and deliverables and cover some business development subjects. This is just the beginning of what we hope to be a great partnership with you, our industry partners. We intend to provide you with additional training webinars in the future to cover some of the things we'll be covering today and just touching on, and provide much more detail on some of the subjects we'll be talking about. So be looking for those emails and know that today we will touch on some of these subjects briefly, but we will be providing additional training in the future. Here's our agenda for today. First thing, let's go over some housekeeping items. All attendees have been muted to minimize the background noise. The chat feature has been disabled. We ask that you use the Q&A pod for any questions you might have. We will try to address those in the Q&A pod or verbally. If a question requires follow-up, we will state that in the Q&A pod that a follow-up will be sent, and we will be sharing the Q&As for the webinar today with all the attendees. So you'll be able to see the questions and answers from today. A copy of the slide deck, and again, a summary of all the questions and answers will be sent to all attendees. Keep in mind that today is just a high-level overview. Additional training will be scheduled to provide further guidance on systems and requirements like eBuy, CSCRM, and our sales reporting system, to name a few. After the holidays, we will be reaching out to all awardees to set up one-on-one meetings. Look for an email after the start of the new year with details on scheduling a private meeting with the Polaris team to discuss your contract, business development, or address any questions you might have that we don't cover today. That is an optional meeting, so you'll get the information. If you'd like to sign up for one of those meetings, you can do so at the first of the year. We are now honored to have Larry Hale, the Acting Assistant Commissioner of the Office of Information Technology, with us to provide some opening remarks. And then Nick Ingalls, your contracting officer, will provide a contract overview along with some of the contract requirements. Nick will then turn it over to Utunde Ogunrebido, who will walk us through the sales reporting requirements. And then finally, I will cover business development, including resources available to you, and go over some of your requirements in regards to your webpage and marketing materials. And now at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Larry Hale, the Acting Assistant Commissioner of the Office of Information Technology, for his opening remarks.
Thanks, Belinda. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Good morning, no, it's afternoon here in the East Coast. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. I'm Larry Hale. I'm the Acting Assistant Commissioner for the Office of ITC, the Information Technology category at GSA. It's great to see so many of you joining us here as we kick off this next chapter for Polaris. Today marks an exciting moment. We've issued the first phase of awards for the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business and Hub Zone pools, and we're thrilled to have you here with us. We've worked hard to get here, and we are now positioned to help agencies deliver real capability where it matters most. Polaris was built for exactly this purpose, to connect federal missions with highly qualified small businesses that know how to innovate, operate, and deliver. Whether it's artificial intelligence, cloud, cybersecurity, automation, or data solutions, Polaris gives our agencies a modern, flexible way to keep pace with rapidly evolving technology. And it does so while strengthening our small business industrial base and reflecting the talent found in communities across the country. These pool awards show that small businesses, especially you, our service-disabled veteran-owned partners, are at the forefront of federal innovation. The expertise found in the Polaris GWAC supports local economic growth, advances digital transformation, and ensures agencies have trusted partners ready for mission challenges ahead. We know that this is not the finish line, but rather the launch point, as Polaris was designed to grow and adapt over time. The work ahead is important, and you, our industry partners, play a central role in that success. So thank you again for being here. Thank you for your commitment to mission-driven technology innovation. And congratulations to our newest Polaris awardees. We are excited to work with you. If you need any assistance with Polaris, please don't hesitate to reach out to our GSA team members for support. And with that, I'm turning it over to Nick. Thank you all. Nick?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Hale, for that introduction. And again, congratulations to all our awardees. My name is Nick Engel, and I will be the contracting officer for the SDVOSB pool. Next slide, please. So for this section of the presentation, we want to highlight some contract elements to introduce Fed Connect and your CSCRM requirements. First off, for any questions regarding this pool, you can always message our group inbox as the easiest way to get in touch with the right POC. For awareness, again, Belinda will be our program manager, and Ken Zeller, who's on camera here, will be our contract specialist. Next slide. As performance begins, we know questions will always come up about the contract. We strongly encourage a thorough review of contract documentation as the first step, as it often contains the correct answers. If something remains unclear, of course, feel free to reach out to the team. Some key highlights from the contract include the pricing and approved labor rates. Be mindful of your J5 attachment. The J5 attachment lists the approved rates for your awarded contract. Please stick to these rates for all labor hour and T&M contract types. Always review the scope. The principal nature of this contract must be for IT services. Some ancillary support may be included as long as it's integral to and necessary for the IT service-based effort. Your deliverables and reporting requirements. Please be familiar, especially with F6 deliverables and J1 performance requirement summaries. Please keep track of these requirements and submit your deliverables timely. Subcontracting. As a prime contractor, you are responsible for the subcontractor's performance and compliance with all of our contract terms. Subcontracting decisions are at your discretion. However, please be aware of the limitations that are found in FAR 52-219-14. And as a reminder, there are no subcontractor approvals at our master Polaris contract level, but please track all approvals at your order level. Next slide. Something that may be new for some of you is Fed Connect. Fed Connect is a platform that we use for communication and document exchange, and it is important that you register and become comfortable with using Fed Connect. Please visit the website and follow the instructions to register. This will house the base contract as well as any future modifications, and you will also receive contract notifications and communications through this portal. Training resources are available directly on the Fed Connect website that will help you navigate the system. Next slide. Another unique requirement for Polaris is the CSCRM. Please review section G17.1 and note that a CSCRM plan must be submitted. The plan is due 120 calendar days after NTP and within 30 calendar days after the end of each contract year. A CSCRM template and GSA guide was provided last week. Please reach out if you did not receive that by email. More in-depth training about this requirement is planned for January 2026. As a reminder, the contractor must notify the government within 30 days of any material changes to their plan. The template may be updated by GSA throughout contract performance and reflect current factors, so please monitor any updates. I appreciate your time, and again, congratulations. I will hand it over to our program analyst to go over some specific GSA reporting requirements.
Thanks, Nick. Hello, everyone. As stated, my name is Yetunde Ogunribidel, and I'm the program analyst point of contact for the Polaris SDVOSB pool. I am part of the IT Services Business and Operations Division. We work to ensure GWAC contracts meet regulatory requirements, fiduciary responsibilities, and compliance on reporting guidelines. My team is dedicated to assisting you with the transactional data reporting process. Section F6 in the Polaris contract outlines clear guidance on reporting requirements. It states what items need to be reported and when they're due. This includes the timely submission of contract award documentation, modifications, invoices, and CAF payments. Invoice reports are due on a monthly basis. CAF payments must be submitted and reported quarterly. Task order award and modification data are due the month following the contract official signing by the ordering contracting officer. The sales reporting portal is SRP is the designated platform for all contract reporting documentation. SRP is a web-based application that collects sales data, and it is where task orders, modifications, invoices will be reported, and that's where CAF will be paid. All that data and modifications are set up to automatically populate from FPDS or Assist. However, you also have the option to manually enter this information into the reporting system. All entries will go through an approval process before being accepted in the system. You will complete your registration in SRP with required information. The system will verify your information against the GSA contract. So ensure that your details are accurately reported in the system. Through SRP, you can enter invoice and subcontracting data, attach necessary contractual documentation, and remit CAF payments. To get started with SRP, please complete your registration via the GSA portal at srp.fas.gov. Comprehensive user guides will be provided to assist you through this process. We will be scheduling an initial training session shortly to guide you on how to effectively use the SRP. So please keep an eye out for an email invitation with further details. That's all I have. I will now pass it on to Belinda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick and Yutanda, for providing the information. Just a reminder, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A pod and post your questions in there and we'll get them addressed. If you're unable to find the Q&A pod, if you go down to your toolbar in the Zoom link and it's not on there, click on the three dots and you should get the option to the Q&A pod. I will now focus on the business development side of your contract, specifically providing resources, going over a website and marketing requirements, deliverables, the delegation of procurement or DPA process, and lastly, provide you some tips to help you be a success with your new contract. Here I have provided you with some resources that you should be familiar with that can help you be more successful when marketing your contract. We will go into more details for each of these on the following slides. The first resource I want to highlight is our GWAC sales dashboard. This is a great resource to find out which agencies are using for GWAC. A link of the GWAC sales dashboard can be found on the GWAC overview website towards the bottom of the page. This tool offers a breakdown of total obligated dollars and number of task orders awarded by GWAC and by agencies. This graph can show data for all the GWACs combined, as seen on the screenshot I provided here, or you can select certain GWACs if you are only interested in looking at the information for a particular GWAC. You can do that by clicking in the upper left-hand corner and marking which contract family you'd like information displayed for. For more detailed information about our task orders awarded against our GWAC, click on the Data Feed tab, which, as you can see here, is the third tab over. And once you do that, here I provide you with a screenshot of the Data Feed tab. By clicking the Data Feed tab, you can pull up detailed information for individual task orders, such as award dates, obligated sales, and a brief description of services procured. You can filter this data by contract family, agency, fiscal year. As you can see down the right-hand side, there's several options that you can use to filter the data. Once you've filtered the data to what information you want, you can download that data into Excel for analysis and review. I've highlighted the instructions in yellow on how to download your report once you've picked all of the fields and filtered the information to what you're wanting. A great tip is to look for contracts nearing their completion date. That is provided in the data, as they might present themselves as future opportunities. Now we'll review how to use eBuy to find and respond to opportunities for Polaris. eBuy is the tool GSA recommends to agencies for posting RFQs, RFPs, and RFIs for Polaris. So it is important that you understand how to utilize eBuy and find opportunities for your contract. Today, we'll review logging into eBuy, managing your contract, finding opportunities, and training and resources. And keep in mind that we will be featuring a more in-depth of training on the eBuy system. In order to use eBuy, you must first register your Polaris contract with the VSC, which is the Vendor Support Center. You should have already received the email with the registration instructions on how to complete this process. A few things to note. Please make sure the email that you use to register is the same email that you use to log into eBuy for the first time. If you try to log into eBuy with a login associated with a different email than the one you registered with the Vendor Support Center, you will not be able to see your contract. Logging into eBuy is simple. You go to ebuy.gsa.gov. You're going to log in as a contractor at the top right-hand side of your screen, and you're going to follow the instructions provided in order to use eBuy. You have to have registered Polaris contract in the VSC. If you don't do that part, you will not be able to log into eBuy to see your contracts. After logging in, you will be prompted to select a contract to view and manage. This will be a drop-down of all contracts that you are assigned to in eBuy. This might be your first contract, or you might have several listed here. If you don't see your contract, make sure that you've registered the same email in the Vendor Support Center that you have used to log into eBuy, and that you are a point of contact on that contract. If you know you are not the main point of contact on the contract, but you should be added as an associated point of contact, please make sure you reach out to your main point of contact to make sure that they have appropriately added you as in the eBuy system. If you are the registered point of contact, you registered in VSC, and you don't see your contract listed, then you go to log on. When you go into log on to eBuy, please reach out to the Vendor Support Center help desk, and they can provide you information on how to get that resolved. Once logged in, you will have a banner to read and accept the terms. Once you are on the homepage, you can download the contract or job aid at any time. It has detailed instructions, provides guidance on how to utilize eBuy. Now we will look at how you can see the opportunities. Oops, I went a slide too far. Now we will look at your, sorry, now we're on the home page. All right, sorry, there I got my slides advanced too fast. Your homepage will allow you to navigate to different sections of eBuy. You have the request finder. The request finder provides a quick way for you to find any open requests that you might have to access to. There's a My Quote section, a My Bid section, which provides quick access to all of your quotes and bids that your company has submitted or saved a draft. And then there is a request section that displays the opportunities available for you under the contract that you've been awarded. Your profile tab will provide you a snapshots of the points of contact for each of your contract categories and your email notification. The message section will provide any alerts or any activities on submitted quotes, notifications requesting you to quote or respond to any RFI, RFP, or RFQ if requested. Now we will look at how to see opportunities that are available to you. An important note is that you will not be able to view RFQs posted under contracts that you have not been awarded. It is advisable to check eBuy each day for new opportunities and notifications. For searching RFQs, sometimes the list of RFQ opportunities can be rather long and cumbersome, especially if you have multiple contracts on one login. eBuy provides a search RFQ tool to help you quickly narrow down the list down to RFQs from specific industries or agencies. You can enter search terms and eBuy will look into the following fields: RFQ number, the title, the description, agency name, attachments, line items, etc. This will help you navigate and search for specific RFQs, RFPs, or RFIs, or keywords and terms. How do you get notifications? eBuy will provide email notifications if you are set up to receive them. So make sure you go in and set up that notification. So if you don't get in on a daily basis, you will get an email notification. Under the profile tab, you will see a green toggle switch that email notifications are on. If you do not choose to get email notification, you'll receive notification from eBuy when there are new opportunities. If you choose to get email notifications, you'll receive notifications from eBuy when there are new opportunities, when Q&As have been posted, when an RFP, RFQ, or RFP has been amended or canceled. You will also get notices if your quote was received, awarded, partially awarded, or if no award has been made. If a seller submits a question to a customer about a request, the customer must post the question and their answers to the eBuy for all selected vendors to review. In addition, customers may modify their RFQ anytime before closing. As a seller, you can see if the RFQ has any Q&As or has had any modifications posted under the quote section. Once you find an opportunity, you will want to review it thoroughly before you start preparing your quote. We strongly encourage you to respond to all customer inquiries, especially requests for information to RFIs. Customers frequently use RFIs to determine the most appropriate contract vehicle for their requirement, and a lack of response may lead them to believe that there's no interest in their requirement, and they could choose to go with another contract vehicle. So keep in mind that RFIs can be posted across multiple contract vehicles and multiple pools. But once the RFQ or RFP is issued, it should only be posted to one contract and one pool. And that's the contracted pool they tend to make award against. As discussed previously, if you try to log into eBuy and you're unable to see your contract, or you're having other technical difficulties, please reach out to the Vendor Support Center. We have provided you with their contact information on this slide. You can also refer to the contractor job aid, which is, we provided a link on the slide, for any details on any topics that we've covered today in regards to eBuy. After the start of the new year, we will host a comprehensive eBuy training. This session will include a live demonstration of how to respond to a solicitation, and we will be available to answer any questions or address any issues you may have. One of the great services that our office offers is free, no-option advanced scope reviews. This allows our customers to submit their draft requirement documents, such as statement of works, statement of objectives, or performance work statements, to ensure the work falls within the scope of the GWAC they're wishing to utilize. They can find the instructions on how to request this free advanced scope review on the GWAC overview page under Request an Optional Scope Review section. And let's talk about the Polaris webpage. Make sure you bookmark this website. You will probably reference this site often, and you will direct your customers to this site. The Polaris website provides you and your customers with access to multiple contract-specific resources, including but not limited to copies of the master contract and the ordering guide, a summary of the basic contract information, such as contract types allowed, ordering period, authorized users, the industry partner spreadsheet with the point of contact information, and eventually we will have labor category contract ceiling prices for each industry partners. And here I have just provided you with a screenshot of the Polaris website. Keep in mind, you will need to provide a link to this webpage on your website, but we'll go into more details in regards to that in the next few slides. Now, let's dive into your contractor website and marketing material deliverables and requirements. So now let's talk about some of the deliverables that are due very quickly after the notice to proceed were issued. All group emails should have been submitted to the Polaris SDVOSB at gsa.gov email already. Those are supposed to be submitted 10 days within the notice of proceed. So if you have not provided your Polaris group email yet, please do so immediately. I know I have reviewed some, and you will get an email saying that it's approved and been added to your contract of point of contact information, or if it is not in formatted in accordance with the paragraph G81, you'll get an email saying that it is not accepted and you have to create one that follows those guidelines. One of the first things I like to mention is we have provided you guys with an option to submit all your deliverables via Google form in accordance with paragraphs G51, G512, G7, and G81. You should have received this in an email a couple of weeks ago, providing you with the option to submit your deliverables via Google Mail. If you prefer not to use the Google form, you can still just email them in. We would prefer the Google form for streamlining information. But again, if you're not comfortable doing that, or you prefer, you can just email us your deliverables. Please do not submit through the Google form and email. We prefer just to get them on through one avenue. So now let's talk about your company webpage requirements in accordance with paragraph G7 of your contract. You must submit your website for review and approval within 30 days of the notice to proceed being issued. Here we have provided you with a list of the minimum requirements of your webpage. The Google form does ask that you confirm that your website has each of these elements. It makes you mark it. Yes, you check to make sure. So when creating your Polaris webpage within your company website, please make sure you have at least the minimum following information: a link to the GSA Polaris GWAC website, and please identify it as so. When reviewing websites in the past for past contracts, some companies will just say link, and customers are not sure where the links takes them. So make sure you identify the link as a link to Polaris GWAC, GSA's Polaris webpage. Make sure you have your full Polaris Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business contract number, your company UEI, and make sure that you use the UEI that the Polaris contract was awarded under. I've seen where companies are JVs and one of the JV partners, UEI, will be put there, not the joint venture UEI. So make sure that you use the UEI that was on your Word documents. The same goes for your cage code. Use the one assigned to your joint venture and on your contract award documents. You also need to provide your contract manager, program manager name and point of contact information, and a statement confirming the contractor's commitment to offering electronic product environmental assessment tool, or EP, bronze level products and equipment when used within the performance of a Polaris task order. And for electronic hardware, if procurement has auxiliary equipment on an order issued against your GWAC contract. The requirement for the sustainability practice and impact statement in accordance with paragraph H7 is not being enforced at this time in accordance with the executive orders issued in January of 2025. Now we'll cover marketing material for your Polaris GWAC. Any press releases, news releases, marketing, or promotional material referencing your Polaris Service Disabled Veteran or Small Business contract must be submitted to the Polaris SDVOSB at gsa.gov email for review and approval. Please make sure when submitting any of these for review, you state in the subject line of your email your Polaris Service Disabled Veteran or Small Business Pool contract number, followed with press release, marketing material review request. This way we can easily identify those requests. And I know with press releases, you're probably wanting those reviewed and approved as quickly as possible. So if we see that, we can see that that's there and we can get those reviewed and so that you can get those released. Keep in mind that you can utilize the GSA star mark as long as you follow the very strict guidance provided at www.gsa.gov/reference/GSA-logo-policy. And make sure you read those thoroughly. You can also utilize the Polaris logo on Polaris related material. You can either right click on the logo on our website and copy and paste it, or you can request a copy of the Polaris logo file in JPEG format through email. You should not be changing the Polaris logo color, and it shows up best on a white background. This logo is trademarked, so it shouldn't be modified. Here we have provided you with some recommended information to include in your promotional marketing material. I'm not going to go over each one of these. You can see them. One of the ones that I do want to point out is when you're referencing the contract ordering period, please only list the base contract period, which would be December 2nd, 2025, the day the notice to proceed was issued, through December 1st, 2030. Option years should not be included until the option is actually exercised. If you ever have any questions in regards to your marketing material or your website, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help you and assist you any way we can. Now let's talk about delegation of procurement authority, also referred to as a DPA. For all of our GWACs, a DPA is required to issue any awards or modifications to orders issued against our GWACs. As previously mentioned, a DPA is required to issue awards or modifications on orders. DPAs are specific to one contract. For example, a STARS 3 DPA is not valid for Polaris. The contracting officer will need a Polaris DPA to utilize the Polaris GWAC. Only warranted contracting officers can request a DPA. We encourage you to confirm DPA status for any customer wishing to issue an award against your GWAC. Keep in mind that during communications with your customer, you might be interacting with the contract specialist versus the contracting officer. The contracting specialist does not need a BPA. In actuality, the contracting officer is the only one that can receive a GPA because they are the ones who will be signing the awards. So they are the ones that need the GPA. So please ask to make sure whoever is signing your awards that they have received a delegation of procurement authority for the Polaris GWAC. To request a DPA, a customer must meet one of the following training requirements. They can attend one of our live webinars. We offer them bi-weekly for the first several months of the contract after the notice to proceed was issued. In the future, we will offer our industry partners a training information session on which we will provide you a DPA training. So you will know what our customers are getting educated on and see what they see during these DPA trainings. The DPA training webinars are only open to customers only. They're not open to industry partners, but we will provide an opportunity for you to see what is provided in these trainings. We did have our first Polaris DPA training Tuesday. There were over 500 attendees and attendance. So people are excited about the Polaris GWAC. Another option is we soon hope to have a self-paced YouTube video that your customer can watch to meet the training requirements. Or lastly, they can review the Polaris GWAC ordering guide and certify they've done so. Once they've met one of the above training requirements, they can go to the GWAC overview page, go to the request DPA section and fill out and submit the DPA certification form. They typically get their DPA within 48 hours of requesting it. Now we'll go over some tips we've learned along the way to help make your contract a success. Make sure you review your welcome kit. We provided many resources in there to help you find opportunities and make connections. Make sure you know your contract and what's allowed within scope. Review the ordering guide. So when you're talking to your customers, you can provide educated assistance to them. Attend any training we offer when we offer it. Watch and share with other employees that will be working with the Polaris contract any pre-recorded training sessions we might offer in the future. Review agency forecast. You can find most agencies' forecasts by Googling the agency's name with procurement forecast. For example, if you Google Air Force procurement forecast, you will be provided with a list of several sites to access DoD's forecasting requirements. Also, our Assisted Acquisition Office offers several monthly meetings to go over different agency requirements they are working on. Sign up to get notification for those sessions. You can do so by going to our Assisted Acquisition website, which is gsa.gov/AAS. Click on the Industry tab, and then click on Join their Interactive Communities link on the industry page. Join those interactive communities and you'll get those notifications of those meetings to discuss requirements they are working on. Know your agency, know your company's unique capabilities and strengths and market those. Work on marketing those. Develop your business plan and target customer base. Leverage your company's unique capabilities and use the contracts you have already established. If you have been dealing with a customer or an agency, a point of contact within an agency, use those point of contacts to get the information about your Polaris contract out. Reach out to GSA for customer assistance. For example, if you have a customer who is hesitant to use the Polaris GWAC, do a soft introductory via email. Include us in that soft introductory, introducing our team to them. And we will reach out to them. If they don't reach out to us, we'll follow up with that on that email, ask them if they need assistance or if we can provide them any additional information or answer any questions they might have about the GWAC. So we're here. If you need us to talk to your customer, introduce us, include us in the email. And if we don't hear from them, we'll follow up and see if we can offer assistance. And lastly, I can't stress this enough, and I mentioned it previously, Respond to customer inquiries, especially RFIs. RFIs sometimes can be time consuming, but RFIs are used to help our customers determine which contract vehicle they might ultimately use for the requirement. And if they get no response from the service disabled veteran-owned small business pool, then more than likely they won't consider it as a contract for them. So keep that in mind. Here we provide you with your Polaris SDVOSB team. To reach any of us, please use the Polaris SDVOSB group email, which is Polaris SDVOSB@gsa.gov. Our whole team has access to this email. So if someone's gone, someone else can jump in and address a question if it comes in. Remember, after the first of the year, we will provide an opportunity to set up one-on-one meeting with the Polaris Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business team to address any outstanding questions or discuss ways to market your contract. Look for an email in early January with more information. And at this time, do we have any questions that were flagged to be answered live? I don't see any. It looks like they've all been answered.
Belinda, we did have one question about eBuy system, and I will go ahead and
Okay.
address that. The
Okay.
eBuy system is scheduled to go live tomorrow. If you are logging in and you see an error message, that is simply because we have not turned it on yet. Once that is live tomorrow, that error message should be gone. If for some reason is not, definitely reach out to us. We will make sure that we reach out to the VSC and get that remedy.
Thank you, Lori. So I see there's some questions coming in, so I'll allow some time for questions to come in and we can get those answered. And just a follow-up, the slides from today will be shared and the Q&A portion, we will create a report that has the Q&A and if there's any questions that we have stated that we'll follow up, we'll provide the follow-up answer in that report. So look for that. You will get that information. I'm going to answer this live for the website. No, if you go, I'll go back to that slide actually. So the sustainable practice statement, we're forbearing that, so that is not required. The sustainability practice and impact statement that was optional. The EPEAT requirement level is still required. And I still see we have quite a few questions still coming in. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I want to thank everyone again today for attending our webinar. We would greatly appreciate it if you could complete the survey that will be sent to you in a follow-up email. Your feedback helps us improve, know what we are doing right, and determine topics for future training. So please complete that survey as soon as possible so we can get that. We really appreciate the feedback, any feedback you can provide. Anybody who wants to stay on as we continue to answer these questions in the pod, you can. If you would like to go ahead and log out, you can. Again, the Q&A pod summary will be sent out. I hope you have a great rest of your day and know that the Polaris Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business Team is here when you need us. Feel free to reach out to us anytime you have any questions. And again, thank you again for attending. And please complete that survey when you get it in your follow-up email. Again, at this time, if you'd like to log out, you can, as questions are being addressed in the Q&A pod. But this time, it looks like our Q&A pod has been cleared. So I am going to go ahead and end the webinar for everyone. Thank you again for attending. Thank you to all of our panelists for handling the questions that came in and all of our presenters today. Have a great day and happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you. Bye.